Howdy, Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. What am I doing? I'm ranking all the Pixar films. Duh, hopefully this video does not get corrupted, but we have a lot of movies to cover, so without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get into it. I will also be putting the number score next to the movie I'm talking about. Please also do not get mad at the placement of the movies. This is A, just my opinion, and B, a lot of Pixar movies are like 8 out of 10s, so really it's just of which one did I slightly enjoy more. So again, let's get into it without further ado. At number 25, we have Brave. This one's a 1 out of 10. Yeah, I know I said 8 out of 10s. I was kind of lying. This one, I did not find any enjoyment from it whatsoever. I liked Merida's character design, but that's about it. The animation isn't anything special to look at. The story, we've seen it 1,000 times before. I'm not really interested in the conflict, and overall, it's just a boring movie. I barely got through it. So yeah, definitely one of Pixar's worst movies. They definitely should have made Wreck-It Ralph. Well, Disney made this one. It feels like they kind of switched it in between production. Coming in at number 24, we have Cars 2. You know a movie is really bad when the studio that made it pretends it never existed. I'm looking at you, Cars 3 and Rise of Skywalker. This movie really is a mess. I did not expect the spy stuff. I did not like Maida being the main character. Okay, here's the thing. It's not that I hated Maida being the main character. I just kind of wish they evened out the movie between him and McQueen pretty well. I just wanted both stories to have a balance, but the whole spy stuff was a bit off. The animation's good, though. I do think it's at least a pretty movie to look at. Certainly way better than Brave. But yeah, definitely some of Pixar's worst stuff. I actually kind of want to know if it was made by another studio, if I would like it. Probably not, but who knows. 2 out of 10, by the way. At number 23, we have The Good Dinosaur. This, I would say, is definitely more or less like one of Pixar's last bad movies. I really like the animation. I still think the animation is stunning. It's definitely the best part of this movie, hands down. Like the fact that 7 years later it still looks this good, props to it. I do not like the models of the dinosaurs though. The dinosaurs look like toys, they end up looking plastically, and they just don't look like they live in this world. The story is also, it's like mixing the plot of Lion King meets, in a weird way, Finding Nemo, and it just doesn't work. It's the whole we gotta get back home subplot, which has happened in a lot of these Pixar films. I don't know, I just really did not enjoy this one. I really thought Pixar making a dinosaur movie would have been a lot better, but instead, I just got greatly disappointed. 3 out of 10. Number 22, we have A Bug's Life. I really don't have a lot to say about this movie. It's like the most mediocre Pixar movie. It's got the typical, I'm the loser in my village, but I'm going to be the hero at the end of the story. It's got the dumb third act breakup, which even back then I did not enjoy. But there are some aspects of this movie I really did like. Every time the bird was on screen, or like we see how terrifying it is, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the grasshopper villain. There was a joke he made about Mama said, I'm not allowed to punch you or something. It was funny. The circus crew is like, alright, but they're definitely not my favorite parts of the movie. Overall, I give it a 4 out of 10. It's kind of mediocre, but it's expected for this being like Pixar's second movie. I'm not too mad at it. At number 21, we got Cars. This one is definitely a kind of nostalgic movie for me. Saw it as a kid, loved it, but I didn't say it was my favorite movie of all time, and it's still really not. It's definitely Pixar's most average movie. I'd give it like a 5 out of 10. One thing I will say about this movie is that it has a lot of heart. There is a lot of emotion in this movie, and I say that's its biggest strength. Its simplicity is its strength. However, in everything else, it could have been better. We've seen this kind of story before, but otherwise, it's a charming movie about cars. Kids will love it. Coming in at number 20, we got Monsters University. I will say, now that I'm a university kid, seeing this movie, kind of a bit of a relatable, but at the same time, it's not the best thing ever. I wouldn't say it's cliche. I really do like the message of this film, that try as you might, there are some things in life we just cannot achieve. And I really do think it's a strong message that was delivered well. I think the animation is really good, especially considering, coming out later after the first Monsters Inc. But otherwise, I don't really have a lot to say about this movie. It's the whole underdog story that doesn't end the way you think it's gonna end. I think it's a fun watch. I think it's a really good message and stuff, but at the same time, not the most perfect thing out there. 6 out of 10. At number 19, we have Cars 3. Yes, this is the best Cars movie. I will not be taking anything else from anyone. Everyone's like, oh, Cars 1 is the best one. No, it's this one. This is how you end a trilogy. This is how you end McQueen's story. I really do like it. I like the finale as well, where he gives a position to Cruz Ramirez. I also like her as a character. I really enjoyed her story. And what can I say? This movie is just fun. We get to see nice animation, nice racing scenes, and of course, some nice character developments. It also helps that this movie does not acknowledge Cars 2. Normally, I would get mad when a new movie ignores a former property movie, but I think this movie actually benefits from ignoring Cars 2. So you know what? We got a point there. I will say though, try not to watch this movie more than 3 times. It does get a bit boring afterwards, and you just kind of start getting mad at it. So 3 is the limit for me. At number 18, we have Up. What can I say about this movie that hasn't been said already? The first 10 minutes are pretty fun. Well, not fun, they're sad. They're the most emotional part of the movie. Of course, it made everyone cry and whatnot. The rest of the movie is still a fun, light-hearted adventure. I honestly cannot complain about the rest of this movie. I love Kevin. Kevin is such a fun character. He, she, whatever, the bird. Oh, that meme with the oh, or blah, or whatever. I love it so much. Obviously, you gotta love Doug the dog. Who doesn't love Doug the dog? The villain is like alright. I don't really think they're the best Pixar villain, but I do think the climax is pretty fun. I know a lot of people complain about the climax with like the dogs fighting plays, but I'm like, guys, it's a literal dog fight. Get it? But yeah, this movie's fun. Not a lot to say about it that hasn't been said already. I do feel like the middle chunk though could have been cut out, but that's just Pixar movies for you. They got the beginning and the end right. It's just the middle chunk that they have an issue with. But overall, 7 out of 10. This is me. You're probably wondering how I got here. Well, you see, I ended up dead because the YouTube comments decided to kill me. Yes, I'm sorry. Please, I'm sorry. But hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. At number 17 is Ratatouille. Okay. Let me explain why I put it here. It's simply because I think other movies are better. I'm just imagining all the comments coming to me like, boo, get out of here, you stink. But yeah, no, it's true. Ratatouille is at 17, but it's still a 7 out of 10, meaning there is a lot I enjoy in this movie. Obviously, you gotta love the cooking scenes. That's the whole point of this movie. This movie makes cooking look fun. Wanted to become a chef because of this movie. Remy, I enjoyed his character a lot. Did not really care for the dynamic between his brother and dad. I'm like, okay, we've seen this in like other movies before. This feels like it feels like this whole arc is here just for because it needed to. But I enjoyed almost every other aspect of this film. I enjoyed Remy controlling Linguini. I enjoyed Colette for reasons. And as far as the magnum opus goes, I don't think this is Pixar's magnum opus. Like, it's not their greatest thing that cemented them as a studio in animation history. Though I do think it's a perfect example of a classic Pixar film. If people want to know the quality of Pixar films, I definitely would recommend this one. However, it's still a 7 out of 10. At number 16, we have Turning Red. I've reviewed this movie already, so I'll keep it quick as well. This movie, the first 20 minutes were hard to get through. I am not gonna lie, that was cringe-topia. I will say, this movie is very effective at being a teenager movie. As in, it reminded me of my dark years. Ugh. But I will say the animation in this movie is just gorgeous. It's spectacular. I love the colors. I love the bouncy energy. I love all of the main girls and their personalities. Obviously, I really love the main conflict of this movie. Though I would be lying if I didn't say I enjoyed it when it was done in Encanto. Hey, that's just me. My personal opinion. It was better in Encanto. But I will say I love the panda stuff in this movie. The second act is definitely my favorite. And of course, who can hate the climax with a tiny panda fighting a giant panda? Because why the hell not? This movie just said why the hell not, and let's go all the way out. So yeah, pretty good movie, 8 out of 10. Wait, guys, I can explain. WALLE isn't my favorite Pixar movie. Kill it with Well, now that we got that out of the way, let me explain why I like WALL-E. I really do like this movie. It has a cute story. I really do like how the first 40 minutes or so has no dialogue, but it's so simple. You can get the story immediately, or at the very least you can get the gist of the story really quickly in the first 40 minutes. Do I think it could have probably been sped up? Yeah, but overall it's still a fun watch. It's not exactly artsy or deep. It's just a simple story about a robot romance, and who can hate on that? And don't give me that whole bull crap of, well, I mean, the Earth and no, none of that. I do like the space parts. I really do like the attention to detail in this movie. By the way, not only does it have really good animation, but you can just tell the amount of detail they put into each scene. God damn, this movie had a lot of work put into it. And of course, it was directed by Andrew Stanton, the same guy who made Finding Nemo, and anything he touches is automatically perfect. So of course, he also made the last 2 episodes of Obi-Wan, I'm pretty sure. Regardless, this movie is really cute, really fun, and I do enjoy it a lot. However, that does not prevent me from saying that this movie could have easily been cut down by half its runtime. Honestly, you could have told this movie in 45 minutes and we would have still gotten the gist of it, and I would have probably still enjoyed it the same, but it wouldn't have filled the 90-minute runtime quota, and I know all the WALL-E fans are coming for my head now. At number 14, we have Onward. Well, I've just signed my death warrant.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Moving on, yes, I do relate to this movie a lot. It's as if someone decided to spy on my life and make a movie out of it. I really enjoy this movie a lot. I will say it is a bit slow to start. Definitely the worst part of this movie is like at the beginning. However, it has like a steady climb where it like peaks at the climax and at the ending. Which, you know, like what could you expect any less from a good movie? Like at the very least, if you're gonna have if you're gonna have a good movie, let the worst part be at the beginning. And I do wish we delve more into the fantasy aspect of this movie rather than just have it be fantasy meets urban. Like, oh my gosh, guys, it's our world but with fantasy stuff. I feel like if they really wanted to rough and tough it, we should go in more fantasy. However, Pixar is known as Pixar is the company, the type of people to never play a genre straight. So honestly, I wasn't too bummed out about it. Any other company, yes, I would have said, oh my gosh, guys, you should just play it straight. But otherwise, yeah, no. Onward's a fun movie, good animation, great ending, but it is a bit slow to start. Still an 8 out of 10, and yes, I do enjoy it more than WALL-E. Eat that. At number 13, we have Inside Out. I think she was also 13, 11 to 13 in the movie, so whatever. The movie fits the ranking. Anyway, this movie is my brother's favorite Pixar movie, so sorry not sorry for putting it here. I really enjoyed this movie, and I think I was actually the target age when it came out, but yeah, I really like the contrast between the emotions in the head and the outside world. The outside world feels more grounded, you know, like it's trying to be realistic, while the inside world is way more cartoony, especially with the emotions. Apparently, they were originally going to be 27 emotions, but they decided to dumb it down to 5, so at the very least, the audience doesn't get confused, and the animators can take a break. I really enjoyed Joy. You know, she was like kind of like almost the antagonist of the movie, always trying to keep Riley happy, but it does make sense considering the situation she is. She just has to put a smile on her face. And Sadness was also just such a mood. Get it? Literally a mood. But yeah, the other characters I enjoyed. I really enjoyed Anger with his crazy nature, but Fear and Disgust kind of took a backseat. They weren't my favorites, but I really enjoyed the other emotions, and I still think the ending really hits hard. It hits home, and it's very emotional. Another classic Pixar movie. 8 out of 10. At number 12, we have Lightyear. Y'all are way too mean to this movie. True, it's not the movie we expected, but it's the movie we got. So please lower your expectations and at least take what you got rather than, I guess, nothing at all, though some people would prefer that. This movie is fun. I think it's a pretty fine movie. It's not Pixar's best, but it's also not their worst. I really do like the first act. I did not care for the second act at all. You could cut that part out. I also did not like the background characters. They were really boring, some of them annoying. But I did like Alicia, and I did like Zurg as the villain. Yes, I actually liked the twist at the end that Zurg was the villain. True, it would have been funnier if he was actually Buzz's dad, but I think for the sake of the story, they wanted a bit more emotion in it, so I'm fine with the change they made. And I did like the climax a lot. Not the pounder ship. The pounder ship was very dumb. I did not care for that. I meant the falling back down to the planet and Buzz ejecting out of his seat, fighting Zurg. That was really cool. I did not like the action in this movie, though. You'd think Pixar would actually make a movie where action is the centerpiece. No, the main characters accidental themselves into a lot of their situations and victories, and it's not fun. I do appreciate the message of the movie, though. I do really think it's good, and again, I really like the first act. It reminded me a lot of Up, though I think slightly better. I think I enjoyed this one a lot more because I think there was a lot more at stake, and I think the scale just felt bigger. Otherwise, it's an alright movie, still 8 out of 10. It's not Pixar's most classic movie, and I know a lot of people definitely don't like it. I enjoyed it. I also really like the animation. The animation in this movie is spectacular. Keep it going, Pixar. Keep doing your thing. At number 11 or 12, I lost track at this point, we have The Incredibles 2. One thing I will say about this movie, though, is I really do not like the Lego game. The Lego game was such a disappointment. At first, I was so excited, and now it's let me down. And the fact that they forced you to play Incredibles 2 before it won, like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? This movie, though, it's like fine. It suffers a lot, the same problems as Cars 3, where, like, if you watch it more than 3 times, you just begin to hate it. However, I do like the animation. Elastigirl looks fine as always. Though I will say, this movie really does suffer from sequel-itis, and it's the reason why people say, oh, sequels can never be as good or better than the originals. First of all, to those people, shut up. Second second of all, this movie really kind of proves your point. It's literally the same plot as the first movie, except Elastigirl's in the driver's seat this time. I really wish they did more of this movie. There was a lot they could have done, but I don't know, man. I don't know. If they ever do make an Incredibles 3, how about you listen to the fans this time? They actually had some pretty good ideas in store. But yeah, I mean, it's like a fun movie, 8 out of 10, but really could have been better. At number 11, we have Monsters Inc. I don't know how anyone could hate this movie. It is so fun, so good, so creative, and of course, just nostalgic. Like, if you grew up with this movie, it's probably just one of your favorite movies of all time. I really do like the designs of the monsters. I really like the concept of going to the human world. Again, it's very creative. I really like the final act where they're going from door to door. And of course, I love the relationship between Mike Sully and Boo. It is so adorable, and I love it. And of course, the ending just breaks everyone's hearts. But yeah, I really can't say much about this movie that hasn't been said already. It's a fun movie, and I feel like it's just, if you're a kid, it's essentially you grew up with this movie. One thing I will say though is that no, Shrek deserved to win in 2001. Shrek is just more impactful to society than this movie, but that's not to say this movie isn't incredible on its own. Number 10, we have Toy Story, the first Pixar movie. This movie made history. It did so many things right. It was the first 3D animated feature-length film, and of course, it's what cemented Pixar as one of the new best upcoming animated films. Was it Pixar's magnum opus? You could say that title could go to like Monsters Inc. or Finding Nemo, but I do think that this movie was revolutionary and it was monumental. So yes, I do think Toy Story is very important as a movie. As a movie on its own, it's also really good. I really do like the fact that it still holds up like over 30 years later. I'm pretty sure the movie still very much holds up, and of course it has such an interesting story to go along with it. Like, what if toys had emotions? What if they were alive? And there's so much you could do with that, and so many messages you could tell. This movie was revolutionary, and I still think it's one of the more important films to date. So good on you, Toy Story. Though you will say I did not say it was the best Toy Story movie. Yes, I still think Toy Story 4 is better. I definitely do think this movie would have benefited from being called Woody, more like a spin-off to the Toy Story movies than actually Toy Story 4, because I do think a lot of people were disappointed by this movie. But if it was called Woody, I think it would have done a lot better and a lot more people would have liked it. I mean, they made a Lightyear movie focusing on Buzz alone, so there's no reason why they wouldn't have made a Woody alone movie. However, that's not to say I don't hate I hate this movie. I really like the animation. I definitely think it's the funniest Toy Story movie. I really do like the jokes in this. I love characters like Forky. Obviously, Bo Peep makes a cool return. However, I do think some of the older characters did get dunked. Like, I did not like how they characterized Buzz in this movie. It felt very formulaic, and it felt like they just had to do it for the sake of doing it. Though I did enjoy Key and Peele in this movie, and they're part of the reason why this movie was so funny. So it's not the worst Toy Story movie. It's definitely like second worst if you want to compare it to the others. However, I do think it should have been called Woody, and I think at that point in time it would have been a really good movie. Imagine if they actually made a movie based on Woody's character. Like, if they made a cowboy, if Pixar actually made a western cowboy movie focusing on the character who the toy is based off of, I honestly think that would be pretty cool. And yes, I would watch it. Wow, 3 Toy Story movies in a row. But yeah, Toy Story 2, I really like it. A lot better than the first one. I do like the opening. It was just amazing. I honestly wished for that opening. And hey, look, it's a movie now. Wow. And I really liked the whole Al's Toy Barn situation. Because like most of the movie takes place in that barn. Yet I was never bored. There was always something new to find out about it. And of course, who can hate that ending with the plane escape? I thought it was fun. A lot of people like to say that this is the best Toy Story movie. I would disagree, but I definitely see where they're coming from. This is definitely a very strong sequel, and I think it beats the first Toy Story movie. And I cannot imagine 90s kids actually seeing a sequel be better than the original. That's right, people. It's possible. Just a bit of effort goes into it. Mind you, this movie was also almost deleted, but thankfully someone saved a copy of it. I cannot imagine a world where we have a Toy Story 2 made by Disney. Oof, just imagine that. Coming in at number 7, we have Luca. I feel like I cannot even talk about this movie much. It is such a simple movie. It's a slice of life movie that's just really enjoyable. It's something you watch on the holidays, and yeah, I do think it's a fun, nice little holiday movie. Animation is obviously very cute. I like the little artistic design. I love the colors, especially the water. Look at the water. And yeah, I know the designs of the sea monsters are cool. Also, Luca's mom. Luca's mom. But yeah, no, I really like the friendship between Luca and Alberto. It's something really special, and honestly, it's like the best part of this movie. Looking at that friendship grow, it's very cute, very wholesome. This is a movie you can just watch and feel good. You feel the warm fuzzies from this movie. So yeah. I can't really say much about it. You could even say this movie is lukewarm. I'm gonna see myself out. I'm gonna see myself out. At number six, we have Finding Dory. This is the best non-Toy Story sequel, and it deserves it. It deserves it. I will not take crap from anyone who says this movie is anything less. I love the animation, and much like Inside Out, I really do like the contrast. Where like in the human world, things feel a bit more grounded, more realistic. You could tell there's a bit more texture on the outside world stuff, but in the water, everything feels slightly more cartoony, a bit more animated, more colorful, and more lively. It's more alive, more come to life basically. I really love the ocean, and I do like the twist they give us in this movie. Whereas the last movie we spent most of the movie in the ocean and a bit in the dentist's office. In this movie, it's most of it in the aquarium area, but least of it is in the ocean. Again, movie has amazing animation. I really do like the message this movie gives. It's a really strong and nice message. Although I will admit the climax is very goofy, and I do wish Marlin and Nemo weren't as backbenched as they were. I don't know, what is it with Pixar sequels and backbenching the original characters? I'm noticing a trend here. Number five, we have The Incredibles. This movie is a classic. This movie hits harder than it should. I really do like the more kind of adulty jokes in this movie. Before Pixar started putting them in a bunch of their movies. I really do like the animation, the superhero take. I really do like the superhero take they give in this movie. Where like a superhero family, like the Fantastic Four, but they're illegal. They're trying to come out of retirement. It's really cool, and they actually do it in a nice, nuanced way. The boys, and obviously I love the family dynamic. I think that's the best part of this movie. This movie has a lot of funny scenes which I really enjoyed, and some scenes that interested other people. But yeah, really like this movie, really enjoyed it, and of course the Lego game had to put it last. I don't fully blame it because this movie is better, so I understand why you want to save the best for last, but like, come on man, chronologically it means something. So yeah, I'd say this movie is a 9 out of 10.
Honey? What? Where's my super suit? What? Where is my super suit? Evening's in danger. You tell me where my suit is, woman. We are talking about the greater good. Greater good? I am your wife. I'm the greatest good you are ever gonna get.
At number four, we have Coco. This movie is an instant 9 out of 10. I do think the middle chunk of this movie could have been improved a bit more, but like it's Pixar traditions or whatever. But of course, I love this movie. I really love the ending. The last song obviously made me tear up. Not Remember Me, the very last one before the credits hit. And yeah, no, really, I don't have a lot to say. The animation is really nice. I really like how the Land of the Dead looks. A lot of detail into this movie. And of course, this movie has its funny moments.
But you can change that. This is you? Muy guapo, eh?
And yeah, I really cannot say a lot about this movie that hasn't already been said. This movie is emotional, it's really colorful, really cool, and honestly, kind of just came out of nowhere. So yeah, I like a nice surprise every now and again, and Coco definitely did just that. This movie made a lot of people tear up, and it's definitely deserving of that 9 out of 10. Funny how we have two movies talking about death next to each other. Well, actually, not quite. We're in the top three now, and from this movie up till number one, all these movies are 10 out of 10. Instant classics and some of the best movies ever made. And of course, kicking off number three, we have Soul. Yeah, this movie is really good. It is so good. I honestly love its message. Even like 2 years later after the movie came out, I still love its message, and I really love what this movie is. I really love this message. A lot of people telling me, oh, bro, the movie's not that good anymore. Chill. No, it's good. This movie is really good. I don't care if it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, the movie will still be good in my heart. I really love the animation of this movie. I love how when he plays the piano, you just get to see the colors around him and how everything moves so smoothly. I love 22 as a character, and I really like the growth she goes throughout in this movie. I also really like The Great Beyond and how it's portrayed. And of course, I never mentioned this in my original review, but I love how the Jerrys are animated. It's so cool. This movie, I don't know if it felt ahead of its time or not, but I honestly love this movie to death. One of Pixar's best movies. And if anyone says Pixar in recent years is starting to fail or they're not doing well, I always point them to this movie and I'm like, was this movie bad? Tell me, was this movie bad? No, this movie's a masterpiece. It inspires me every day, and I always keep remembering this movie if, I have a big existential moment. So yeah, so great movie, 10 out of 10. At number 2, we have Toy Story 3. Not just the best Toy Story movie, but the best sequels Pixar's produced, and just one of the most gut-wrenching movies. I love the furnace scene. I said it. The furnace scene had me at the edge of my seat. It was so horrifying, so bone-chilly. And you could predict that these characters would make it out okay, but you have that thought like, oh wow, are they really gonna die? Obviously, the ending was emotional and it made me tear up. And I'm like, of course, this is how you should end a series. This is how you end not just a trilogy, but a franchise in itself. Which is why I say, while I don't hate Toy Story 4, it definitely should have had another name. Because this movie really could have just been called Toy Story 3, The End. And it's funny how this movie appeals to the kids who grew up with Toy Story. Because if you were 3 years old when the first Toy Story movie came out, you would have been going into college by the time this one came out. So it really does coincide well with that. Obviously, the animation has improved a lot. I really love the story. I really love the villain. There is just nothing bad I can say about this movie. It is so perfect in every shape and form. And I even love the opening. It's way better than Toy Story 2's opening, which is weird. It's like, this movie is like all of the greatest hits from the last Toy Story movies, plus its own identity just mixed into this one huge ball of greatness. And unlike Toy Story 4, it utilizes all of its original characters, of course, except Bo Peep, but I can't really complain. This movie is great, it's amazing, and I really do feel like it's a proper send-off to the Toy Story movies. If you really wanted to end them, you should end them here. And if you're gonna watch Toy Story 4, just imagine Toy Story 4 being called Woody in your mind. Don't call it Toy Story 4, call it Woody, and you'll have a better time with it. But yeah, no, this movie, instant 10 out of 10. I really do love it. And at number 1, we have Finding Nemo. I swear to God, people think I make these Pixar rankings. Let's just talk about Finding Nemo. And it's true, I really do love talking about this movie. This movie is perfect in literally every way, shape, and form. The music is perfect. The animation is perfect. The characters are perfect. The story is perfect. The chase scenes are perfect. I could gush about this movie for hours. I could talk about why I love this movie so much on so many levels. It's not even like a 10 out of 10. It's a 10.10 out of 10. 100 out of 10. A million out of 10. This movie made me the person I am today. This movie shaped me so much, especially from childhood. I would watch this movie so many times, and there would be so many things that made me do things just because I was inspired by this movie. This movie is also hella educational. I love the look of the sea creatures. I love the ocean itself, the way the animators just bring it to life. And we get to learn some ocean facts along the way. Honestly, before I wanted to become a writer, I wanted to become a marine biologist solely because of this movie. I wanted to explore the oceans and see what they had. The ocean is scary, man, but I'm going to say it is beautiful. And I love going to the beach and just going on my marine safaris and whatnot. I just cannot emphasize how much I love Finding Nemo and how perfect of a film it is. You ask people, what's your favorite movie? Everyone will be like, oh, it's like Citizen Kane or I don't know, Lord of the Rings or something. They'll always pick these artsy movies that's their favorite movie of all time, or The Godfather or something. For me, it's Finding Nemo. It's a simple animated family movie, and that is my most favorite perfect film of all time. Andrew Stanton, you king, you legend, you mastermind, you perfect specimen of a human being. Everything you touch is truly perfect, and yes, you would make a better movie than any Christopher Nolan movie. I said it. Come at me, Christopher Nolan fans, and I guess Dark Knight fans. And this movie does everything right on so many levels, and I will not take anyone dissing it. And yes, this movie has everything. It's got the action, it's got the animation, it's got the emotions. Literally, this movie makes you sad and tension-filled at points. The pelican scene was already scary and tension-filled on its own, and of course, it even has a third act breakup. And unlike other movies where the third act breakup makes the audience groan or tired or it's just predictable, this movie's third act breakup is actually depressing. Guys, I'm not even kidding.
Please. I don't want that to go away. I don't want to forget.
I'm sorry, Dory, but I do.
Finding Nemo is so good on so many levels, and of course I could not expect it to be surpassed. When I heard Finding Dory came out, I was obviously excited for that movie, but I knew it could not beat Finding Nemo. And here we are. This movie is still the king of movies in my opinion, and it's also one of Pixar's most important movies. I definitely do think that this is Pixar's magnum opus. Whereas Toy Story put Pixar on the map, Finding Nemo made Pixar a respected company, and I even mentioned this in my Finding Nemo review. This movie was the first movie to win an Oscar Academy Award for Pixar, and it's also the movie that got like the most rip-offs made off it. It definitely impacted like society as a whole. I definitely do think, especially in the movie industry, not as big of an impact as Shrek Left Behind, but definitely one that people will never forget. I just cannot say it enough. I love Finding Nemo. It is by far, hands down, the best movie ever made and the most perfect movie ever made. 1 billion out of 10. Anyways, guys, thank you so very much for watching this video. I know it's been a while. I promised it would come out like 2 weeks ago, then the video got corrupted, and then last week I was just hella busy with life. Life is depressing, man. It crushes your spirit. But hopefully the video comes out. It's well. Hope you guys enjoyed it a lot. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell to be part of the team, and I hope you stick around for more videos to come, because trust me, there will be more videos to come. There is a Wimpy Kid video on the way, and I hope you enjoy that one too. Without further ado, thank you guys so very much for watching. I've been Captain Phoenix. I hope you enjoyed this Pixar video of me just going on and on about the Pixar movies. And yes, I will make another video when Elemental comes out. Not another Pixar ranking video, because these videos take way too long to make, but I will talk about where Elemental ends up on my Pixar list. I doubt I'm going to be changing these movies anytime soon, so I'll most likely just say Elemental is like my 5th favorite Pixar movie or something. I'm excited for that to come out. I promised you guys a Pixar video, so here it is. Without further ado, I've been Captain Phoenix, and with that, I will see you in another universe. Goodbye, my Rangers. Love you all. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe.